Hello, everyone, and welcome as you're joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. The open house, you're here, so you know it begins at 1 p.m. Pacific time for this counselor Q&A. Essentially, the way this is going to work is we have a fair amount of information to get through. It's a lot of questions we've already been getting at the start of the school year for these 2 weeks. So hopefully, a lot of things will be answered for you, like right from the get-go here. If, though, you have questions come up as we go, what I encourage you to do is to chat one of the counselors your question, and just bear in mind that we're going to try to answer as many as we can at the end. So we won't be stopping to answer questions, but we do have time at the end for questions. The duration is going to be about 1 hour. We're going to cut it off at 2 p.m. Pacific time. It might be a little bit shorter than that, but if you have lots of questions, it probably won't be. So we'll see how it goes. But you can keep your camera on if you would like to. We are recording, so just be aware of the fact that, if you have your camera on, there will be a recording that will be sent out to people. We like to see everyone's faces, but we understand if you want to be here and not have your camera on. We're just happy you're here. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the 24-25 high school counselor Q&A. Like I said before, our goal here is just to cover some topics that have come up a lot at the start of this school year and at the start of every school year, and hopefully have some time to answer some questions for y'all. So like I said before, if you have questions as we go through, just chat them to a counselor and we'll try to get through as many as we can at the end. We might not get to all your questions, but we're going to do what we can. So with that being said, I'm going to start by introducing the team. Y'all have probably heard from one of us at this point, but just in case you wanted a picture to match to the name, today we have Mrs. Vogler here, who's one of our counselors for last names A, L through M. We've got myself, Miss Benedict. I'm a counselor for last name B through C. We've got Mrs. Whitaker, who is a counselor for last names D through G. Mrs. McCune, who is a counselor for last names H through K and W. Mrs. Van Egdom, who's the counselor for last names N through R. And then Mrs. Wade, who is the counselor for last names S through V, X through Z. And then we've also got Mrs. Thompson here, who is the high school counselor for all of our bronze level students. And Mr. Boldenko, who is a high school counseling assistant and is actually the counselor for some of y'all as well. So we're all here. It's great to see y'all. And we're just glad y'all could make it. So before we get too far into it, I'm actually going to open up the chat so everybody can chat. And I want you to quickly type in the chat where you're joining us from, like what state, what country. And we'll see if we've got some North Carolina, some Mexico, Florida, Maryland, Georgia, Maine. We have a lot of representation here. Washington, Oregon, Arizona. Got some Washington, got a couple Washingtons. Haiti, Georgia, New York, California, the UK. We have a lot of variety in here today. I'm very impressed, especially thinking I'm sure some of your time zones are a little late right now, or early, I guess, depending on where you are. But that's awesome that you're here. Thanks, everybody. And then second question for the webinar, what grade are you in? So go ahead and just type in the chat really quick. I see 9 p.m. Yep. Okay, we got 9th graders, got some 11th graders, 10th, 12th. Lots of 9th graders. We got a lot of 9th graders in here. That makes sense. It's your first year of high school, but look at all this variety. That's awesome. I'm going to give you just a couple more seconds to type in the chat really quick. And I'm going to turn it back to just chatting to counselors only for questions so we can get started on the information. But thanks everybody for sharing. That's great. It's so awesome to see just the variety of places that we have students from and the different grades we have students from. We're just glad you're all here today. So in this meeting, what are we going to cover? We're going to talk about how you can set yourself up for success this school year. What does that mean? We're going to talk about what self-paced is. How do you schedule yourself? Who do you contact if you have questions, and how should you contact them? And some tools you should bookmark. From there, we're going to talk a little bit about schedules and courses, talk about some questions that come up a lot, including questions about graduation requirements, picking electives and changing classes, offline electives, dual enrollment, homeschool credits, and the question that comes up just all the time, when can I graduate? When can I get out of high school? We'll talk a little bit about that too. We're also going to cover a little bit of information about Zello and MobileServe, give you our contact information at the end, and then from there, whatever time we have remaining, we'll use for Q&A. So reminder about the Q&A again, just be sure to chat one of the counselors, and we will be storing these questions and cover as many as we can at the end. But for now, I'm going to pass it on to Mrs. Wade.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'll start off by just giving you a few tips on how you can set yourself up for success with us. So we are a self-paced school, but when we say self-paced, there are some specifications that we mean by self-paced here at Enlighteum. So I'll talk about self-paced and how you can schedule yourself. So with self-paced, it means that you have some flexibility when it comes to when you can do your classes, meaning you can better work them into your schedule. For example, if you're a bit of a night owl, then you can sleep in a little later and start your classes a little later that day. For example, if a lot of you may play sports or just have other activities outside of school, you can schedule your classes around those days. For instance, if you have activities on that Monday, you can start your work on that Tuesday with no penalties. So that's kind of what we mean by self-paced, that you can actually do your work as long as you're trying to, keep up with your schedule. You can do it a little later or even do it a little earlier sometimes. We know that sometimes things come up, you may get sick or just something unplanned. Then, if you happen to be off for about 2 or 3 days or so, then you can use the weekends. Ignitia doesn't close, so you can definitely use the weekends to catch up on your work. However, please remember that your due dates are still important. We recommend that your family sit down and just come up with a schedule that works best for you. The due dates in Ignitia are used as a guide. So if you do follow those due dates as they are, it ensures you that you'll finish your classes on time. But again, you do have some flexibility with our self-paced option. But you do have the freedom to work ahead. Always remember that. Okay, so with Enlighteum, we have a lot of different departments that manage a lot of different things, and some things might come up that you have questions about. So I'll just kind of go over the different contact information about who you can contact and for what. So for general support, just basic questions, nothing in particular, just support. You can reach out to our support team, and we have our number here that will be on the slide when we send it out, and you have their contact email. For billing, anything related to tuition, additional fees, how much charge for your tuition plan, just anything related to cost, you want to reach out to our billing department. For records, we have two different ways that we do records. So if you have records that's coming in from another school, then this first contact, our records@enlighteum.com, is where you would send those records to. But just say, for instance, if you need your records from us into another school, that would be our registers department, and they handle all the outgoing records. So those are the differences on our records department, the incoming and the outgoing departments for that. Progress department, you're going to get progress reports weekly. So if you have questions about that, or any specifications of what they send out, then that'll be who you contact, our progress department. And we have their contact information listed there as well. If you have technical issues, we have a contact number for that. And we also have our counselors' contact information. If you click the link, you'll have the list of all of counselors. So, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We're definitely here to help you in any way that we can, as well as the teacher contact information. Okay. So for specifications, if you need questions on grades, projects, turn it in, anything related to your assignments and your classwork, we're going to recommend that you reach out to your teacher for that. Okay, and teachers can be reached out via Ignitia. You have a messaging option on your Ignitia account, and they'll get the message directly to them. For instance, for Turnitin, I know some of you may have had issues with your Turnitin account. We do have an email contact that's listed here that you can contact if you need further assistance with that Turnitin account. So for questions about course scheduling, adding or dropping courses, MobileServe, which is your community service account, Zello, post-high school planning, or social emotional learning, that's when your counselors come into play. We can reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you with any of those questions about those. But again, questions about tuition costs and things like that related to bills, definitely feel free to reach out to our billing department. They will be your best contact to confirm anything related to you. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Van Egdom. She's going to give you some additional tips on how you can be successful with that.
Thank you, and hi everyone. So I am going to be introducing some of the helpful platforms that you will be using throughout the school year. First, we have the new one, Zello. Zello is our college and career readiness curriculum platform. Formerly, we used to use Naviance. We are no longer using that this year. So be prepared to be using Zello. On that, you will complete grade-specific lessons for each school year that you're here. If you haven't received any information about Zello yet, don't freak out. We're still working on finalizing accounts for students. So you should be hearing from us sometime this month with your login information and what we expect from you to do on the Zello platform. The next one is mobile serve. That one is the platform for community service hours. If you do not have access to that platform, feel free to reach out to your counselor, or it might be something technical and you might need help with your Enlightenment student email. You will want to reach out to IT for that. But remember, mobile serve is for your community service hours. LiveBinder is a great resource that you can access anytime that gives you additional tools and information in order for you to complete your assignments and be more successful in your classes. Sora is our online school library. And then the Enlightium knowledge base is what it says. It lives up to its name. You can look up things on there and find the information. So for example, if you wanted to look up our calendar, which I was about to talk about next, it's one of the very important things that you should be familiar with when it comes to the school year. You can find it either on our website or the knowledge base. Speaking of the calendar, I would encourage you to print off one or multiple copies of the calendar so that way you can have it all over your house and get familiar with it, because it's a good guide for you to know when there are no school days, when Ignitia won't be available, whenever we have long breaks like winter break or spring break, when your semester is going to end, when there are cutoff dates for the quarter and all that good stuff. So definitely, if you have the ability to print one off, print one and look through it with your parents, so that way they're also familiar with the dates, or just have an electronic copy somewhere where you can easily access it if the website might be a little too cumbersome to get to at times. Next, in the next few slides, I'm just going to introduce it, but in the next few slides, the rest of the team is going to be going more in depth about graduation requirements, picking different electives, changing classes once you've already been assigned classes, what in the world are offline and electives and how they work at Enlightium and at the high school level, what dual enrollment is, and also talk about any other credits that you might be getting at the high school level. It can be homeschool credits, or maybe you are doing something else. So just keep an eye or listen up for the information. Take some notes if you think all of this information is valuable. We will be sending out this recording, but definitely keep your own notes so that way you don't miss anything or you can refer back to it. And then the last thing that we will also be covering is when you will be able to graduate high school. So up next, Mrs. McCune will start with graduation requirements.
Our goal in high school, obviously, is at the end to get that diploma. So we want to kind of review with you what specifically you have to do in order to do that. You can't just hang out with us for 4 years and get a diploma. There's some specific guidelines that we have to follow. And for all of our students, we're expected that they have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science, 3 years of social studies, and that must include U.S. history, government economics, and then it can be world geography and or world history on that end. 3 career and technical electives, 1 semester of health and 1.5 PE, 1 fine arts, and 2 years of a world language. Now, the world language is not required to graduate, but it is highly recommended for any student that is even thinking about going to a 4-year university or to college after high school. So we want to really emphasize that. You don't have to take it, but we recommend it if that is your path in the future. In addition, we have our 4 Bible credits that we require. And then, as Ms. Van Egdom also mentioned, you will earn 0.25 CTE credits for your Zello courses. And those of you that have already done Naviance will earn those. And that is required for graduation. In the past, we've had a lot of students that at times thought maybe they didn't need to do that or didn't finish it up, but it is part of our graduation requirements. So we want to really, really emphasize that you complete those lessons. It's not a full course. So like we said, it's grade specific, but it is expected that you complete those. Otherwise, you're going to end up short on graduation requirements. So at the end for everyone, it is either 22 credits. Those of you that are doing the honors program, it is 24 with the 2 additional years of world language and the extra math and science. I think that covers that up. And next we have got it. State requirements, sorry. Our state requirements section, it is posted on your course planner. You'll see that, but in most cases, if you are getting a diploma from us, that is all that is required. If you and your family need specific state requirements added to your curriculum, we're happy to accommodate that. But that is going to be the responsibility of the family and the student to let us know if you're reporting to homeschooling or something like that and need to make sure that you have those state requirements. But in most cases, the Enlightium requirements will get you graduated and get you into college and all of that good stuff. So just keep that in mind. And next is Ms. Thomas to talk to you about electives and class changes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. So once the student is enrolled with us, counselors will create a 4-year plan for them, and an email will be sent to the primary parent's email address with the subject line of Enlightium Course Planner Action Required. In this email, you will find a link to the planner. The planner is read-only as it has important information on it. That is why we ask all the students to send the name of the electives they want to choose. On the first tab, as you can see it on the right side image on this slide, you will see basic information, also a counselor comment, where the counselor will ask you to choose an elective, and also you can find the helpful links. Under the helpful links, one of the most important is the high school electives list. So if you click on that one, you will go to the high school electives and you don't have to send a message to your counselor, what are my elective choices? On the second tab, you find the course planner itself. This will show which electives you need to take, as well as how many courses you are currently enrolled in. This is where you will see the request of your counselor. Please choose the CTE or Fine Art Personal Pathway electives. CTE is Career and Technical Education. Personal Pathway can be any course from the list of electives. It can be an additional history course if you want to further explore that area. Fine art is related to art classes, music, drawing, ballet, dancing, and sculpting, or anything art related. To meet graduation requirement, as Mrs. McCune said, you will have to fulfill 1 credit of fine art, 1 credit of CTE, 1 credit of personal pathway. If a student wants to go to college, they will need 2 or 3 years of credits in foreign language. This depends on the college that you apply. So it's very important that you check with the college that you want to apply to, which credits, how many foreign language credits you will need. And lastly, the 2 credits of PE, which includes 0.5 credits of high school health. Next slide. Electives are chosen at the beginning of each semester in August or January. The counselor will send out the request for electives before the start of the semester begins. You can choose all of your electives at the beginning of the school year, and then you don't have to worry about that. And then those will be added to the schedule, and you don't have to be concerned. Once you choose your electives, you have 2 weeks to try them. And if you don't like these courses or it's too hard, you can drop them and replace them with another one. After 2 weeks, you can still drop it, but it will go on your transcript that you dropped the course. It's important to measure your abilities. And if you think that you can only take 1 elective, that is okay. Talk with your counselor if you struggle sooner rather than later, so she can adjust, or him to adjust your schedule. Also keep in mind that all the elective requirements I mentioned and Mrs. McCune mentioned have to be met before graduation. You don't want to leave all of the electives to the last 2 years or 1 year, because you will have a harder time with school. And next, Mr. Buldenko will talk about how offline electives work.
All right, thank you. Hey, y'all. So welcome to our high school open house. I'm going to talk about offline electives, how they work, what can we count as offline electives, because I know a lot of you guys have questions about that. So our offline electives are classes that students earn credit by doing activities outside of Ignitia. So if you're taking you're playing a sport, or you're going to the gym, perhaps you're taking a music lesson, a piano lesson, dance lesson, maybe even a theater program. Stuff as well as car maintenance and HVAC classes, all those can be counted towards our offline electives. It matters on which one you take. So we offer them in our PE, Fine Arts, and CTE. I believe there is a personal pathway offline elective that you can also take, which again is just a personal interest that you have in whatever it is you have hobbies in. If you don't know what to do, if you have an activity and you don't know if it counts towards a personal or towards an offline elective, please be sure to be reaching out to your counselor, as they'll be able to tell you if that counts towards an offline elective, because we want to make sure that you are earning credit for the work you are putting in school and perhaps even outside school. Okay, next slide. So how do these offline electives work? Once you have contacted your counselor and you figured out that an offline elective is something that you perhaps are interested in and it will give you high school credit, you will be able to choose an offline elective that matches your activity, and then it will be assigned to you in Ignitia. In Ignitia, you will be able to walk through that class where it'll tell you, it'll give you a fill out form where you can log all your hours, and also it'll provide you with information about how much evidence, whether that be a video or a photo that you need to upload, depending on the amount of credit you're taking and how often and when you need to be uploading that evidence to prove that you did complete the activities. Something to note, if you are taking the half credit course, which is usually a semester long, you're going to need to log about 60 hours, well, exactly 60 hours of that activity. And then if you are taking the 1 credit offline elective, which is usually a year long, however, it can be scheduled for 1 semester, that is going to be 120 hours of that scheduled or of that activity. The offline electives are graded on a pass or fail scale. That rhymed. So because it is on a pass or fail, it won't be affecting your GPA, won't be counting towards your GPA. All the information, including the form of the logged hours, as well as any evidence you have to show that you completed the activity, needs to be submitted on the last day of school in order to earn the credit. So any hours you complete last school year, unfortunately, cannot be counted towards this school year if you are taking an offline elective during this year. I believe that is all on my slide, and next is Miss Vogler.
Hey. Hello, welcome everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about dual enrollment. We have been getting a lot of questions about that, and there are quite a few options. Basically, dual enrollment is a program where you can earn college credit and high school credit at the same time. So we have two types of dual enrollment. Currently, we have a partnership through William Carey. And then you can also take the classes either at a local college or an online college that you find. A lot of times students will take a class maybe at their local community college. Some of the important considerations for each type of dual enrollment, things to keep in mind. There are some college courses that can replace high school level courses, but make sure you work with your counselor to determine which ones will replace what. There are some classes out there that we maybe can't match to our curriculum, or we can definitely give you guidance on what to take when so that it will fit in. College level courses will appear on both your high school transcript and your college transcript. So just make sure that you are doing your very best when you're taking those classes, because they will follow you on to college. Okay, next. Okay. The courses that we offer through William Carey are offered only to 11th and 12th graders who have already taken their SAT or ACT and have earned a minimum required score. They are very specific on this requirement. So again, you would work with your counselor to see what offerings there are, and their deadlines are usually well in advance of the semester starting. So they're on a different type of a schedule. So if you have taken your SAT or ACT and are interested in William Carey, get with your counselor and we can go ahead and guide you on that. College courses taken through an outside program. So that would be like local community college, an online college, things like that. Make sure that you would initiate contact with your counselor to let them know, and the outside program. So there are some colleges that do need you to provide some extra information. Like there are times we may have to send a transcript, or they may have a permission form, just to make sure that you're making maybe the type of grades that they require. And then whenever you have a list of classes that you're interested in and that are available for you to take, then let your counselor know so that we can go ahead and formally update your course plan. And then one of the most important things, and sometimes we get to almost to graduation and we're still trying to hunt it down. As soon as you finish the college course, make sure that the college sends the counselor the transcript so that we can get it uploaded to your school transcript and give you credit on our end. Okay, next. Okay, and then how do I get credits from other places on my transcript? We have many students who are coming in who may currently be still taking like a homeschool course, or or from any other accredited type program. Maybe they're taking a foreign language. So any other type of high school online platform. So you would need to ask the school again to send us an official transcript so that we can add those credits to the transcript with us. And if you're taking a course through an unaccredited co-op or similar program, reach out to your counselor, because we may have some suggestions on how we can count that. Sometimes we can go ahead and use the high school homeschool transcript option. So again, there are quite a few options. Just get with your counselor. Okay, and then next I think is Miss Benedict.
All right. So, I know this has already been a question that's come up for a few kids because I've gotten a couple questions chatted to me, but when can I graduate? And the short answer for when you can graduate is once you reach the number of credits you need for your graduation path. So unlike, elementary school or middle school where, you graduate and then you just go on to the next grade level, here in high school, you will graduate and go on to the next grade level, but you won't graduate from school until you finish all the credits you need. So what that means sometimes is, you might need an extra semester or an extra year, or maybe you finish up a little bit early. It kind of just varies depending on the student and what your plans are. You all at the start of the year and at the end of the year will receive your course planner. So that is actually a link you can save too, because it's a live link. So it's the thing that's going to be updated with courses and grades. So you'll just want to make sure that you save that link, and you can always go and check it and see where you're at with your credits. So you can go in and look and say, oh, okay, I have 12 credits. I need 24 credits to graduate, so I need to earn 12 more credits. Or, oh, I have 20 credits. I need 4 more credits my senior year to graduate. You can always go look at that. And if you have any questions about it and you're not sure, you can always reach out and ask your counselor. We recommend checking that course planner. I mean, we definitely recommend checking it before you pick classes for the year, because that's where we're going to ask you about electives and things, as other counselors have mentioned. But it's honestly a good idea to check it at the end of the year too, just so you can kind of get an idea of where you stand and what credits you earned and what your next year might look like. So I recommend like twice a year, definitely at least once a year. Anytime you have questions about your credits, that's where you want to go. If you have any questions about your graduation date, you want to reach out to your counselor. So, that's going to include if you have questions about graduating early. So we do have some kids who want to graduate in 3 years instead of 4, or even like a semester early. Sometimes that can be doable. But the important thing is that you reach out to your counselor, to let them know so that we can help prepare your schedule for that. Because if you don't tell us, we won't have your schedule lined up for that. And B, so that we can see what's doable. And if it makes sense for you, because sometimes we do have kids who want to graduate early, but maybe it doesn't line up with what your goals are once you leave college or once you leave school. So then we might make some recommendations like, well, you might want to think about this, that, or the other thing. That also applies if you need to push your graduation date back for some reason. So, things happen, or maybe you just need extra time to finish up and you just need an extra semester or something like that. That's something you're going to want to let your counselor know too, for the same reasons. We can look at it, we can make sure it aligns with your goals and won't negatively impact you for something. Specifically, I'm thinking about you NCAA students. We definitely want to know for you, but just anyone, we can make sure it's not going to, we can see what the impact will be on your goals, but just make sure you reach out to your counselor and check your course planners. And now I'm going to pass it to Mrs. Whitaker to talk about Zello.
Thank you, Ms. Benedict, and I hope everybody is doing well today. So Zello is our new program, and you guys have gotten a lot of, well, at least a few emails about Zello. And so I know that some of you have reached out to your counselor about, I can't log into Zello, what's happening. And so Zello is your new college and career readiness platform. And so with this platform, it's similar to Naviance. So if you were with us last year, then you use Naviance. If you're new with us this year, no worries. Zello is user-friendly. So the program is a course assignment that is going to help you to discover your strengths, abilities, and interests, to help you decide what you would like to do after high school, as well as be the best student that you can now. Of course, a lot of students will potentially go to college. A lot will go right into the workforce. It just depends on what fits you best. And that's something that Zello is going to help you kind of discover. And so Zello is going to have the lessons there for you to complete each year to earn your high school and beyond planning credit. You will see Zello on your course plan as a CTE credit, which is career technical education. You do want to make sure, and it was mentioned earlier, you do want to make sure that you complete the credit, because it is a required credit for graduation. So if you are graduating with us, then you will need 1 full credit of career technical education electives. And you don't really have to choose one because the Zello will be your quarter credit for every year that you are with us. Of course, if you're not with us for 4 years, then you may need to choose a CTE credit elective, just to make sure that you have that 1 credit there. Additionally, in Zello, you are able to request your transcripts and letters of recommendation to be sent to your college choices there. So this is a frame of a snippet of what Zello looks like for you all. And so it is pretty user-friendly. So you'll be able to see your lessons there, any portfolios, surveys, assignments there that you have. And I would encourage you all, once you receive more information, as it was said earlier, it is still in the works. So once you guys are able to log in, kind of go ahead and log in, play around in there, look around in there, and then go ahead and get started with your assignments so that you can make sure you have enough time. It is a year-long course. So you will have until June of next year to complete the course, but we do want to make sure that you do it, that you finish it. And mobile serve. So mobile serve is where you log your community service hours. So students need 10 hours for each year that they are with us here at Enlighteum. So that just means that if you start this year and you are a freshman, by your senior year, you will need 40 hours of community service. If you start your sophomore year, you would need 30 hours. Your junior year, you need 20. Your senior year, you will need 10. It is recommended that you do at least 10 hours a year because that just makes it easier on you guys so that you're not doing so many hours at once trying to meet that graduation requirement. You will receive an invitation. You should have received an invitation to your student email account to go ahead and claim your mobile serve account. If you haven't, please do reach out to your counselor to let us know. I know that some of you have, you knew about mobile serve, that we were using mobile serve, and you kind of created your own account. So going forward, we want to, if you're new, we want you to be able to use your student email account so that we are able to see your hours there. And if you've created an account with your own email address, try to go ahead and start using your student email account so that we can see and verify your hours. If you haven't received an invitation to join, again, reach out to us so that we can know and we'll help you get logged into mobile serve. And I'll go ahead and hand it back over to you, Ms. Benedict.
Thank you. All right. You've seen us all now, so now you know our faces. You have our contact information. It's on here. We love meeting with students via email, Ignition messages, or Calendly appointments. The reason we have Calendly appointments is just because our schedules do fill up pretty quick. We have a lot of students, and we want to be able to give you the time that we need to answer your questions, and the Calendly appointments help us do that. If you have short questions, email is great. Ignition messages are great because we can get back to those pretty quickly. If you have longer questions, or, I think this week I've had a couple conferences with students who want to talk about how to set up their college profile, or need to talk about what electives they still need to take, and just some other things that they're doing outside of school. Those are great Calendly appointments, just because that gives you a little more time to talk. And we do have all our counselor information here, and we encourage you to bookmark it, like very strongly encourage you to bookmark it and keep it handy so that when you do have questions, you know who to contact and reach out to. All of this will be sent out to students either tomorrow or early next week. It's a short week, so it kind of depends on when it all gets put together, but it will be sent out to you, so you will have access to this. In the meantime, you can always go on our website and just search counselor contact, and it'll give you a whole list as well. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and enter our Q&A section. I'm going to start at the top. I've been getting questions all meeting long. I'm sure some other counselors have too. So we're just going to start going through them. So Jesse, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute and you can ask us your question. We'll start with you. Jesse, what is your question?
First off, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, for a while now, I've always tried to get a job, and every time I try to get a job, they still need like an application from or something from like the school. How do I get that?
Yeah, so it sounds like what you need, Jesse, is a work permit. And what
Yes.
I would recommend, perfect, is there's a couple different ways and it kind of depends on the state you're in. So the employer might have something specific they want filled out, in which case you just get that from them and you get it to us. Some states have a specific form. So the one that comes to mind, because we get it a lot, is California.
I'm in Georgia.
And Georgia, okay. So you'll just want to look and see if they have a state form. Either way, contact your counselor with the form, say, I'm trying to work, I need this filled out. It'll take us a couple days just to get it, back to you. But yeah, if you get that to us, we can fill it out for you.
So the place that I want to work at, they would have to give me like a form that I have to give it to my counselor.
Probably yes. Again, it kind of depends on the state, but that's generally what happens.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. One of the chat questions we got was, are assignments still not assigned on Fridays, or have they changed it back to 5 days a week? Assignments are not assigned on Fridays still. We are on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. So it's still those 4 days. So that has not changed since last year. Another question I saw a couple of times was, is Zello required? And the answer is yes, Zello is required. So definitely make sure you're going to do that. Same as Naviance all the prior years. Let's see what other questions we got here. We have got, where can I find a list of electives I can take as an 11th grader? Angie, would you mind answering that question for me?
Yes, so you can either find it on our website by typing in the search bar electives, and you'll want to look at the high school electives specifically. You can also look on the knowledge base. All of that information is on there. Or like Mrs. Thompson shared, there is a link in your course planner in the first tab. In the helpful links box, you will see an electives link. You will want to click that, and it'll take you to the different electives we offer at the high school level. And then it should also be broken down into what subject areas it covers. So like if you need a fine arts specific elective, or if you need a CTE specific elective, you can pick from each category. Personal pathway, anything can count towards personal pathway. So if you want to take more fine arts to count towards your personal pathway, you definitely can. It's just making sure that you get the fine arts and the CTE covered, because those are a little bit trickier to get fulfilled.
Perfect. Thank you. I did see another question about credits, and I would invite you to go back and just check out that part of the webinar. And then let's see. A couple of questions about, if I want to change classes, and we talked about that. And then the last thing was a lot of questions about MobileServe and Zello. Like Mrs. Whitaker said, you'll be getting Zello information later. You'll be getting Zello information later this month, so keep an eye out for that. And then for MobileServe, if you don't have an account or can't access it, just reach out to your counselor and we'll get you all set up. And then credits will be on your course planner. And that is about all the questions we've got. I see some hands are still up, so I encourage you to message your counselor. Unfortunately, we're not going to let anybody else unmute this meeting, but if you have one final question, please just throw it in the chat really quick. I see, is Zello for college? The answer to that is it can be. We definitely will use Zello to send transcripts as well as some college information. So just make sure that you're using it for that, and it'll help you do things like investigate colleges and things like that. All right. So that seems to be all of the questions that haven't already been answered. So we're going to wrap it up here. If you have more questions, contact your counselor. I can see that a lot of people are trying to get in some last minute questions, and we're all done. So go ahead and just contact your counselor. Thanks all for being here. Hope you have a great rest of your week. See you later.